Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to Small Biz Better Summit. It has been an amazing day so far. A lot of great speakers, a lot of great sessions. And of course, we are continuing the same fashion with, by popular demand, Mr. Sean Smith is back. How are you doing, sir?
Always good, man. It's great to be in your space too. And I'm happy to be back. Thanks for the re-invite.
Hey, we're happy to have you back, man. Such great feedback from your content previously. Everyone loves your perspective, your value, which I knew they would because I love your perspective and value. And pretty much everybody I think I've met that knows you loves your perspective and value. So this is awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Absolutely.
So for those of you who this is your first time to the Small Biz Better Summit, welcome. Sean Smith actually did a session last summit that was the first three laws of 9 of Unchangeable Laws of Entrepreneurship. So today we're going to cover the third of the 9 laws of unchangeable, the 9 unchangeable laws of entrepreneurship. And we're going to start with a little recap, very brief recap of just the first 3 laws, probably a minute on each law, just so if you new to it, you'll know what we talked about. And if you attended previously, you'll be able to catch up a little bit on some of the things that we've taught previously and be able to flow a lot more smoothly with us today. So without any further ado, brief introduction of Sean. He has supported millions of people across the globe. He has supported several businesses in creating millions in their business. He has created millions in his own business. He has been in business for decades. The list goes on and on and on. A wealth of experience and knowledge and just genuine compassion from this man here. So I really hope you all are taking notes. We have people joining us from all over the world again. Thank you so much. Happy to have you all. We have the UK. We have Florida. I'm biased. We have Texas, New York, Illinois, Southern California. We have all of you joining. This is awesome. Awesome. India. Great. Welcome. Thank you so much. Namaste. Just thank you so much for joining us. And without further ado, Mr. Sean Smith.
Thank you. Thank you for all of that. I appreciate being on here again and welcome to all of you. So the idea, first of all, this entire umbrella of content is that these laws apply to entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship is a different game. What a lot of people are trying to do is succeed as an entrepreneur without understanding or without playing by the rules of being an entrepreneur. And it's different than playing by any other rules. And what I find is that a lot of people are struggling in their business and they're doing the things that need to be done. They're experiencing what needs to be experienced, not just what's common, but what actually needs to be experienced. But they're judging it as negative. They're judging themselves as dumb or wrong or stupid or whatever. And they're actually following the right path. And sometimes they're doing it better than most. But they just don't understand that the entrepreneurial game is just a different game. You're going to be questioning yourself all the time. You're going to be wondering if you should keep doing this all the time. You're going to be wondering, why would anybody listen to you versus other people all the time? If you're a normal functioning human being, your brain will be doing things in the entrepreneurial path that you wish it wasn't going to do, but you got to understand these are not only common, they are required. That piece is so critical. These are required. So what most people are trying to do is avoid the experiences that are required. So if you avoid the required experiences, which are going to teach you the required lessons, then you can't win. It's just that simple. You can't win. So the first 3 laws we talked about, number 1 is the law of business creation. And I broke down the word creation. Creation and reaction are actually made up of the same letters, but just with one switch, you move the C just a little bit and you have a completely different mindset. When we're in creation mode, there's a muscle that we need to use that is way more artistic than scientific. Reaction is coming from our intellect. Reaction means I give something, I get something. Reaction is more transactional and it's more predictable. Creation doesn't have anything remotely related to predictability, especially if we're talking about us as the product. If you are a speaker, a trainer, a coach, if you're wanting to share your message with the world in any way, that's a somewhat messy process, and it's not a formulaic path. So you have to understand how creation works, and again, play by the laws of creation and not demand that the entrepreneurial path is going to be the same as the employee path, and that your mindset that works as an employee is going to work as an entrepreneur. It won't. The second law was the law of requisite fear and failure. Just like I said a few minutes ago, fear and failure are required. There are certain lessons that you cannot learn unless you learn them through fear and failure. And those lessons that you cannot learn outside of fear and failure are lessons that you must learn so that you can be successful. And it's not just about learning these lessons, it's about earning your success. Because if you don't learn the lessons that are required, you haven't earned wherever you're trying to go, and you haven't earned the right or the body, the ability to stay there. So this is really about earning your way, not just learning your way. And the third one is the law of certain uncertainty. Inside of creation, inside of business, inside of humans, there's inherent uncertainty. But our brains demand certainty. The only thing that's certain about the entrepreneurial path is that you're going to have a lot of uncertainty. That's what you can bank on. That's what you can predict. And if you learn to dance with uncertainty, you learn to reframe it, you learn to see things from a different perspective, and then you learn to find actually your confidence in your uncertainty, which is possible, then you can succeed. But if you're demanding that this process be something that you can predict, something that is safe, something that you'll never fail on, something that's always going to be comfortable, then my advice to you, and I don't say this in a demeaning way, but my advice to you is just stop. Stop trying to be an entrepreneur, because you will only be miserable if you're not willing to change some of the ways that your mind operates. If you're not willing to dance with uncertainty, the only outcome is misery. So just stop. Like, don't continue following a path when you're unwilling to play by the rules. There are no good outcomes there. You either need to adapt, you need to adapt to the rules and adopt the new mindset, then you can win, or you should just leave that path because you're not going to have any fun. So I say that with encouragement, because these are all rules, not rules, but these are laws that can be learned. We have programming that can be unlearned. That doesn't serve us in this path. We have new programming that we need to get used to that can be learned in this path as long as we know the game. So that's the essence of these laws of entrepreneurship. And that's a quick, way quicker than I thought I was going to be able to, a quick recap of the first three laws.
Wow, that's amazing. Those first three laws, and that was part of the summit, the hidden factors of success. And even just listening to those again, I was like, man, I want to be taking notes here. So I envy you participants right now. You could take the notes. I'm going to have to rewatch this in order to take the notes, which I'm happy to do. And so that's awesome.
Man. They're deep, and they were only learned through pain. Honestly, they were learned through a lot of pain, a lot of disruption, a lot of embarrassment, a lot of failure, a lot of loss. And until I finally just learned them, and some of them I learned quicker than others. Mm-hmm. And some of them I'm still dancing with. I haven't conquered all of these for sure, but it's the real world of self-management, right? Yeah. You can learn the laws or the rules rather of marketing. You can learn how to do webinars. You can learn how to sell on social media or how to sell from the stage. You can learn a lot of those skills. But if you don't have the ability to manage yourself, then all those skills won't really matter. Your understanding of self is so much more critical than your understanding of skills. But almost everybody is searching for skills. They think that's the answer. and you can learn the exact template, the process that somebody else used to make $10,000, $100,000, $1 million. If you're afraid of visibility, if you don't have certainty in yourself, if you don't have certainty in your product, if you don't understand the laws of investment, some of the stuff we'll get into today, that same exact template that can produce millions of dollars for somebody else will produce nothing for you, because that's the most important element, right? And so one of the things that we talk about in a coaching context, like life coaching context, is that it's way more important to understand the behavior than the behavior. We're focused on the behavior. What I'm saying is it's more important to understand the behavior. Who's doing the behaving? So who's doing the business? People ask me all the time, I know they ask you all the time, what's the first step in business? Or how can I get more followers on social media? Or how can I sell more of my program? And it's like, all right, I have about 950 questions for you first. Who are you? Right? What are you afraid of? What are you selling? Why are you selling it? Where did you learn that? How certain are you that it's going to work? How certain are you in you? How good are you with visibility? Do you like to speak, right? Like I need to know about the person that we're going to build the business around.
All right.
And then we can create a structure that's super powerful. So I'm not saying any of those skills are unimportant, but the most critical factor is what's in between our ears. The most critical factor is our mindset, because that will make or break any level of skill that we have.
Ooh, I love that. And I love how you tied it back around to mindset, because that's something that's been a central theme so far this whole summit. The theme of the summit, we're talking about money, and money matters. And if you've noticed, every speaker so far and every speaker to come is going to be talking something about mindset. We mentioned it in the first session today about how it's not about money, it's about mindset, about just how most of the lottery winners that win the lottery go broke within 3 to 5 years. They end up worse than they were before they won the lottery. Why is that? Because the mindset, there was no change. There was an increase in financial growth, but there was no increase in their own person, in their growth. And so I love how you brought that mindset piece into it.
If you change the circumstances, but don't change the recipe that produced the circumstances, give the human enough time and they will revert back to the circumstances that the recipe is good for. So that's why what you just mentioned with lottery winners, that's why, you can leave a bad relationship. And if you haven't healed whatever needs to be healed that created the bad relationship in the first place, you're just going to trade it in for another version of bad relationship.
Yeah.
Right? Like the things need to change. The recipe needs to change in order for the outcome to change. And I had a coach recently tell me that a lot of people think they have a cash flow problem, right? That's a really common word that we use in business. And a lot of us think it makes us sound smart. I got cash flow issues. Even the word itself is so entrepreneurial, right? And he said almost nobody has cash flow issues.
Right.
Most people have cash management issues.
Yeah, that's good.
So if you give the person that has cash management issues a lot of cash, that doesn't solve anything. Just like the person that wins the lottery, because the cash management, which is a mindset thing, hasn't changed. And somebody that has the right mindset can take almost any set of circumstances and improve them, because they're coming from the inside out. So it's really all about the recipe, the mindset. So there are 3 more laws of entrepreneurship that all relate to money in some degree, and mindset for sure. So is there anything else you want to say? You want me to jump into number 4?
Jump on in, number 4. So just a precursor. So everyone, this is the 3 laws of entrepreneurship out of the 9 unchangeable laws of entrepreneurship that relate to, we're talking about money in this summit. So I love how transferable the skills you're talking about are, and not only just about money, about business, but you also even tied it into relationships. So I'm just blown away at how applicable these are. So thanks so much, and looking forward to it. I'm gonna shut up so I can learn too.
Yeah, man. I mean, they're all applications of humans, right? All applications of humanity. So how we do certain things, how we protect ourselves, how we seek validation, all that stuff shows up everywhere in our bodies, in our relationships, in our monies, in our businesses, in our families, shows up everywhere. So it's actually much easier to focus on the thing that applies everywhere than to focus on all the circumstances, right? If you think of a clock, I don't know if I talked about this in the first one, but if you think of a clock, you know, there are 360 notches on a clock if every single, or at least 60, right? Like every single minute has a notch, then you've got all these notches. And then if you look at the degrees, there's 360 degrees. It's so much easier to focus on the center of the clock because that touches everything, rather than focus on each of the notches all the way around, because that's exhausting. So the laws 4, 5, and 6 of the 9 unchangeable laws of leadership, as Marcus said, these are all related to money. The first one is the law of continual investment. Continual investment. So what we need to do is change the way we think about the idea of investment. In an employee mindset or an employee situation, we're not investing anything, we're just transacting. So I'm going to give time, they're going to give me money. I'm going to follow this process, I'm going to get this thing on the other side. And it's somewhat of an equal exchange, at least in the sense that I'm going to give something and get something, right? One for one, sort of, right? Not exactly value equal exchange, but there's going to be something given, something taken, and that's transaction. As an entrepreneur, it doesn't work that way, but most people wish it did, and they demand that it does. So I'm going to do a video, and I want everybody to buy my stuff, or I want everybody to like the video, right? I'm expecting some kind of transaction because I did something first. And I believe that we are tested with our willingness to keep investing in the face of zero returns early on. I'm going to say that again. I think we are tested by the universe, by entrepreneurialism, by God, by your creator, by our higher source and wisdom. Doesn't matter what we call it, all of it together. I think we're being tested. Because if all we had to do is a simple thing and follow a simple recipe, and then we can make all this money, everybody would succeed. And if everybody succeeds, then none of the success is valuable because everybody's doing it. When everybody has the same amount of a thing, that thing has no value. Like once upon a time, this might be a weird example. I don't know why it just jumped in my head. Once upon a time, people used to get their cell phones stolen all the time when cell phones were more rare, right? But I personally haven't heard of anybody's cell phone being stolen in a long time, at least out here where I live, because everybody's got it. Like everybody has a smartphone. So these are less valuable than they once were. Now, I'm not saying that these don't get stolen. Of course, sometimes they do. But what I'm saying is the more that something is flooded into a market, then the less value that thing is, because things have to be scarce in order to be valuable. And so when we talk about success, if success isn't scarce, then success isn't valuable. And that's why I say I believe that we are being tested. If there's like this God of entrepreneurship looking down on us, he or she is assessing who really wants this thing. Who really wants it? Yeah, okay, you're all going to put in 10 hours. And then half of you are going to quit because you didn't get what you expected out of the 10 hours. You don't want it. This ain't for you. And then the other people, you're going to add another 10 hours. And then I'm going to give you just a little bit, and then I'm going to see how you respond to that. Oh, you expect more and you get angry at people and you wish the world was fair? This ain't for you, right? I think that we are being tested. Now, whether there's an actual entity that's testing us, I don't care. But the concept or the process of entrepreneurship is a series of tests. And one of the tests is what's going to happen when we don't get the results that we want. Now, I don't know about you, Marcus, but never once in my entire career, actually other than once that I can think of right now, have I gotten the results that I wanted. I've been doing it for a long, long time. Never once has a webinar produced the amount of registrations that I wanted or the amount of sales that I wanted. Never has a YouTube video or a Facebook video produced everything that I wanted. And if it did produce what I wanted, then I would want more, right? So there's this constant disappointment with the returns on our investment. That's just part of the game, because very rarely will we do the right things to produce the outcomes that we want. So part of this process is make the mistakes, do the things, learn the lessons, and then adjust the things. That's an investment process. So you're investing your time into learning the trade, into learning your craft, into learning yourself, into learning your market, into learning the buying patterns that people have, into learning the behavior patterns that people have. Those are all investments. And a lot of people don't want to invest their time or invest their energy because they're supposed to get paid. And that's fine. I did everything I could for free in the beginning. I did everything I could for free. And nobody really taught me this. I don't remember anybody teaching me this, but I just knew, all right, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm not in this for the short run. So this first action that I'm taking is the first of thousands of steps. It's not the only step. But so many people treat every step as the only step, as the win or the loss, as the success or the failure. If every step is going to produce success or failure, this path is going to be exhausting. We have to see the much bigger picture, and then it's easier to invest your time. It's easier to invest your energy. It's easier to invest your money into learning, into understanding, into the foundations that are required before the success comes. And again, this sounds kind of judgmental. I'm sure it's judgmental on some degree. It's not meant to be demeaning, but I'm in the coaching industry. So many coaches are failing. Most coaches are failing. They're not getting what they want. They're following all these systems and programs that they're promising $10,000 a month and telling all these stories about one webinar, just made me $112,000. It's all BS, the way that so many people are marketing it. But that's what people are drawn to. And they keep bouncing around back and forth. And I hear about what they're doing, what they're not doing. And honestly, man, again, not to be demeaning, but it's like, you don't deserve it. You haven't done the things to deserve people's money. I mean, it's really, I don't know the word that I'm looking for, but not just egotistical, not just selfish. There's a word, and I don't know. It feels like it starts with a pre, like I don't know what precocious means, but some word like that is coming to me. But it's the energy of deserving people's money because you've put in a little bit of work. It's just not right. And people can smell that nowadays, especially nowadays where the online marketing space is so competitive. It's so flooded. People are skeptical. You can't just put a product up and put a website up and throw some ads out there and think that people are going to buy you. You got to earn in a way that you didn't have to earn 5 years ago, 10 years ago. We didn't have to earn people's trust the way we have to earn it now. And I believe that when we look at what we're doing as investments and we're focused on foundation and not quick results and quick money, then the value that we can create is eventually going to bring back money. And my experience is when you don't have to make money, when you're not demanding that you make money in what I think is an unhealthy way or a premature way, then when the money starts coming in, it'll knock you down. But when you're just chasing the quick dollar, it will probably elude you and keep eluding you because you haven't learned the lessons yet. And those lessons are learned through a lot of investment. I was doing a podcast interview with a guest not too long ago, and we were talking about money, and I just said, how much money have you invested into your personal growth? And she said, well, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I'd say probably about, I don't know, like $250,000 or so, $250,000. And I go, that's interesting. That's about, to my best recollection, I don't keep receipts on all the things that I've done, but that's about how much I have too. And then I said, how many of those things worked out perfectly? Meaning you invested 10 grand into a program or $2,000 in an online program or $500 here. How many of those things from a percentage standpoint did you get a big, massive return on? So like if we were talking about stocks, it would be which ones of these are winners and which one of these are losers. If the winners are a positive return on your money investment and the losers are not a positive return on your money investment. So out of the ones that gave you a positive money return, how much would you say? And she said, probably about half. And I was like, me too. I had actually just talked about this recently, and I didn't tell her I was going to ask her any of these questions. I was like, yeah, me too. Which means if we look at it a certain way, we wasted $125,000. That's how the employee looks at it. I put in $125,000 and I didn't get a transaction back that's worth $125,000 or more. So the employee will not want to invest anything more because they're afraid of losing their investment. That's not the way I looked at it. That's not the way she looked at it. And then I said, out of the other $125,000, how much money have you made off that? And she kind of giggles and she said, millions. And I said, me too. But the thing is, you can't know what's going to work ahead of time. You can't know. If you're afraid of investing because you're looking at all of the investments as a potential to lose time, energy, or money, which are the only three pieces of energy or entities that we can invest, or the three main ones that we can invest: time, energy, or money. Money is the least important by far. By far, it's the least important. But it's the one that so many people are caught up in. I mean, you can invest money in something and not give it any time and energy, and it's going to be a waste. But if people are afraid of losing money, then what their intellect, what their employee mindset will say is, I'm not going to invest in anything that I don't know for sure has a guaranteed return. Then stop. I'm telling you, like, that's my answer now. Stop. This ain't for you. Because what you're demanding does not exist in this world. And if somebody somehow convinces you that there is a guaranteed way to know that you're going to get money back when this is related to you and your content and your message and your fears and your beliefs and your traumas and all that, that is a snake oil salesman if I've ever heard of one. It is irresponsible. It's disrespectful. It's fraudulent to be able to guarantee somebody will make money or guarantee any kind of success when the most critical factor is the human. It's irresponsible. But the humans who are desperate are searching for the guarantees. Now, I'm not saying you just carelessly invest in everything. Of course not. You got to discern. But the way that people think about what's a good investment or not is the problem. The way they think is the problem. When people in this industry, at least, right? I'm not talking about stock market. That's something different. If you got like formulas and all that, then what I'm talking about doesn't necessarily apply. But when we're talking about investing time, energy, or money into something that's going to grow us, we're not excited about growing, right? The unconscious mind, whose highest priority is to keep us safe, doesn't get excited about the idea that we are going to be stretched beyond our comfort zone. It doesn't get excited about that. In fact, it's trying to keep us in our comfort zone pretty much all the time. So here's the catch-22. The thing that most people need is the thing that scares them. And most people use the fear as a reason to say no. So let me say that again. The way the brain works, if I'm afraid of it, it means I'm probably going to have to grow. In order for me to get where I want to go, I got to grow. So in a weird, flipped way, the thing that scares us is probably because we need it. But if there's fear involved, most people and pretty much everybody who in that moment is operating as an employee will use the fear as a stop sign. The things that sound like really like the too good to be true kind of stuff, most of the time those don't produce fear, right? We just start salivating. You mean there's a guarantee? You mean I can do a little bit of this and you got this guaranteed, turnkey, proven, step-by-step system, all those words that marketers love? That doesn't produce fear. That produces desperate excitement. So people don't feel that stop sign. But if we understand what's really happening, we need to take a look at the fear in a different way. Now, that also doesn't mean that everything that produces fear you should say yes to. But let's explore what that is. And I've gotten to the point now where in cases like this, in cases where I know that I need to do something, if fear's not present, that's when I'm suspicious. Because if I'm not concerned about this, if I'm not a little bit afraid, then that means my mind believes we're just going to take this and implement it conveniently and comfortably. And I've just grown to learn that that doesn't ever produce positive growth. Convenience and comfort cannot produce growth. So if my mind is not afraid, I'm scared. I'm concerned. That's a way bigger reason for me to say no than terror, right? So we got to see that when we invest in things, the investments that are going to stretch us first will probably scare us. And I want you to start thinking about putting those three things in order. Time, energy, and money are in that order of importance. And time and energy usually come together, right? So it's really kind of only two things. Time and energy and money. And money is so far down in terms of the importance. Because when you put your time and energy into something, you're going to get out what you need. And that's how you learn the lessons that can then give you the financial returns. So again, we have to start thinking about investments differently and understand we cannot know the winning decisions. We cannot know the guaranteed outcomes. And most people try to predict the future in order to decide what they're going to invest their time, energy, and money in. And that is just a losing game all of the time. The fifth law of entrepreneurship is the law of value exchange. And I already kind of dipped into this a little bit. Anything to do with sales is an exchange of value. I have something of value. You have something of value. You want my thing of value. I want your thing of value. Let's change. Let's switch. Let's exchange. That's essentially all it is. I have a coaching program. I put a $5,000 price tag on it. You have $5,000. You want the benefits of my coaching program. You trade me the $5,000. I trade you the coaching program, right? I trade you my knowledge that'll help you get whatever it is that you want. I have a PDF that will give you the blueprint that I followed to make $302,000 in my first 18 months. You have an email address. You want my thing of value. I want your thing of value. You give me your email address. I give you my thing of value. So the value exchange is not always money. And quite often it's harder to sell something for free than it is to sell something for a fee. Because there's skepticism. We get free stuff all the time. And when people get something for free, then oftentimes they don't invest the time and energy because they didn't pay the money, right? So even though I said a moment ago that money is the least important one, money is critical for people to invest because a lot of times if they don't invest the money, then they won't put in the time and energy. So money is not the most critical, but it's a thing that causes people to engage in their investments more, right? So that's where it kind of gets maybe counter-intellectual a little bit, right? So it's critical for people to pay so that they'll invest time and energy. But going back to value, I said a little bit ago that we don't deserve people's money until we have increased our value to the point that they want it and they're willing to pay for it. So when coaches are on the phone with me or speakers are on the phone with me or any entrepreneurs are on the phone with me and they keep telling me that they're struggling getting clients, my immediate response is, you're not valuable enough. Because value exchange doesn't care about the person. Value exchange is almost like gravity. It happens. If you increase your value, people will pay you. It's just that simple. If people are not paying you, you're not valuable enough. And or you're not in front of the people that value your value. You might just be offering something that really does have value to the people that can't see the value. And in that case, I'll still say the same thing though. You don't have enough value for these people, but sometimes we need to exchange the people. But the perception of value needs to be increased. We exchange the people, we get people that do value this. Now we have sales. Now we have people that go, oh, I've been looking for that. Okay, great. So now let's exchange. So instead of trying to improve your sales techniques, instead of trying to improve your marketing techniques, instead of trying to become better at overcoming objections, increase your value. Because when your value is high, people want you, period. And then sales, marketing, all those conversations are just conversations. That's it. It's like, how are we going to find the thing that is a value exchange? Period. And then it doesn't have to, come with all the tension and all the pressure that a lot of people experience sales with. When we experience a lot of sales and fear, a lot of tension and fear and uncertainty around sales, it's because we don't believe in our value enough. This is a values conversation. Increase your value. If I increase my value, at some point you will buy it. And now I'm in charge, rather than being angry at all the people that won't say yes, or me trying to turn their nose into yeses, or me trying to use a bunch of sizzle and a bunch of false scarcity and a bunch of urgency and a bunch of all these other sales tactics to try to get a yes out of a no. I'm not into getting yeses out of no's. I'm into finding the yeses. You know how you find the yeses? Increase your value to where the yeses can see you. Increase your value, then you increase your visibility, and then you get valued. I want to say that again because that's my process, or that's my philosophy on building a business in this entrepreneurial space. It's 3 stages. First, increase your value. Second, increase your visibility. Third, increase your being valued, meaning you'll get sales, right? Become valuable, become visible, then become valued. What almost everybody is looking for is the way to shortcut to the number 3. How do I get more sales? You're not even valuable. How do I get more sales? You're scared of visibility. I don't know how to get sales when you don't have value and you're scared of visibility. I don't know. And if you ever find that way to get valued when you're afraid of visibility because you don't have the value, then run away, because that is not foundational. That's not truth. And so this is a bitter pill for a lot of people to swallow. And I honor people that are just going out there and trying to make it happen. That's one of the beautiful things about entrepreneurship and the beautiful things about entrepreneurs. We want to go out there. We want to take action. We want to make things happen. We want to change people's lives. We want to make money. We want to do all that stuff. That's awesome. The ambition is fantastic. Skipping steps 1 and 2 to step 3 will never produce foundation. Now, there are a lot of people that have built their business, which ends up being a house of cards, on getting valued, making sales, using sales tactics, but they're not standing on foundation. The danger in that, Marcus, I would imagine you see this all kinds of times too. The danger in that is if all your eggs are in a platform, or if all your eggs are in a certain skill, or if all your eggs are in a certain process, at some point in time, the platform will go away, the algorithms will change, the process will no longer work, the market will change. And so we can't put all of our dependency into variables that will change. But if we continue to focus on being valuable to the people who need what we have, then we can go with the flow. We can shift with the market. We can shift with society. The next app that comes up, now it's just a matter of how do I get my value on that app? But, where are the people now that we're teaching how to make a lot of money on Periscope? Or teaching how to make a lot of money on a Facebook business page, right? Where business pages are worth almost nothing now. And you got to pay to get people to see your business page, right? And people were teaching like how to get 100,000 subscribers on your Facebook page or 100,000 followers and fans, because when people see that you have 100,000 people, like they know that you have authority. Yeah, until they realize you got 100,000 people in 3 weeks doing black hat moves and there's no foundation there, right? So what happens when algorithms change, platforms change, all these variables change, and you don't have the value and the willingness and the ability and the understanding of visibility, then you can't change when the third piece shifts. But if you have the foundation, then you can change with anything, right? Because you have that foundation. And this leads into the 6th law, which is the law of sacred integrity. Sacred integrity. And that's about you and you. What does integrity mean? To me, my definition of integrity is alignment with your values, with your beliefs, with your desires. A human that is in alignment has integrity. If we're trying to sell things that we don't fully believe in, if we don't fully believe in ourselves, if we don't fully believe in the processes, how we're doing things, all of that energy will show up because you're not in alignment. You're not in integrity. The definition of integrity is wholeness, actually. So integrity is applied everywhere. Like this water bottle, the cap no longer has integrity because I broke the seal. But the actual definition, when this cap, before it was broken, the cap had integrity, it was whole, right? So that if we apply that to what I'm talking about, we're whole in our alignment. And therefore, we don't need to try to chase. We don't need to try to get other people's approval. We don't need to try to get acceptance. We don't need to try to get all these things because we're whole in our sacred alignment, in our integrity, which raises our value, which makes us okay with visibility, which then makes us valuable to other people, right? That's how we get valued. But this sacred word is a word that I've been really dancing with over the last few years. It just keeps coming up so often. And it really falls in line with creativity. It falls in line with the entrepreneurial path. This is a sacred path. It's a sacred path on many levels for many reasons. One of them is this entrepreneurship path will introduce you to pieces of yourself you wish you never met, or remind you of things that you did or pieces that are inside you or identities that you have and mistakes that you made that you wish you would have never remembered. The sacred journey of entrepreneurship is that it reintroduces us to us. It's like an ongoing confrontation with the mirror, right? We got to look at ourselves and see what we don't like and see if it's okay for anybody else to see that. And what are we going to do to try to overcome that or overcompensate for that? It's just this like prolonged relationship with the mirror. And most people don't like that because it's not comfortable, but that's sacred. I mean, this is the way I think about myself. I'm not saying that this necessarily needs to apply to everybody else, but what meaning did my life have if while I was here, I never got to know myself? Then what did I really do? What did I really accomplish? So to me, the journey inward is a sacred journey. It's a sacred journey because it's really about us learning our soul. It's about us learning our heart. It's about us learning the path of our humanity. And when we do that, here's the totally counter-intellectual reality that I have experienced over and over and over again. When we do that, we get paid more. That's the thing. When we do that, we actually make a lot more money, but it feels right because it's aligned money. And if you're not in alignment and you're making money based on deceit, based on lies, based on protection, you can make as much money as you want and it won't pierce that lack of integrity. It won't make you happy because you didn't make it in an aligned way. So I would rather I tell people all the time this, I would much rather you go slower in alignment than to try to make $100,000 in your first 4 months out of alignment. Because here's what I know. At some point in time, the universe, in conspiracy with your soul, will yank you back into alignment. It's inevitable. At some point, it's going to happen. So if you make a lot of money while you're out of alignment, that just means the house that's coming down is going to have more stories on it. And if I had a house coming down on me, I'd rather it be a one story than a skyscraper. It's coming down. Anything out of alignment is coming down. So the less time we spend succeeding out of alignment with who we are, out of our integrity, is just increasing the inevitable, and it's increasing the weight of that crash when it comes down. Now, living this sacred alignment requires us to dance with everything I've talked about so far. It requires us to dance with ourselves, with our fear, with our humanity, with a depth that we usually don't touch. When things are sacred, when they're real for us, when we're really dancing with the truth, my best analogy, at least right now in this moment, is almost like it's like when we're above the water and a bunch of people are above the water, we're in a swimming pool or the ocean or something, we see all the people above the water, and then we take a breath and then we go down under the water and everything gets quiet and you can't really see as many people because all the noise is up here. That's like what happens when we go down to what I call this sacred aligned integrity level. Things get quieter. And it doesn't look the way it looked up there, but that's actually a good thing. If things are quiet and things aren't looking the way that everybody else looks or it used to look in all these other, employee-based mindsets, and that's a good thing. That means that we're on a different path that's unique, and difference doesn't mean wrong. So sacred is what we need to fall into. And it's really, and this doesn't have to be like mystical and super spiritual. Sacred is just real for you. It's who you truly are. To me, that's what sacred is. That's how I'm using this word, sacred. And I think we live one of two lives. I think we live a life, a sacred life, or we live a scared life. And again, same letters. Just flip the C. That's C, man. You move the C in creation. You move the C in scared. There's something about that C. I'm going to have to dive into that. You just flip it. And you can go from scared to sacred, or you can go from sacred to scared. And it has all the difference in the world. It will shift everything. So just as a quick recap, the law of continual investment, we need to heal our relationship with and the way that we think about investment and not have the expectations that we're going to get these immediate returns, and understand the long-term process of investing to increase our value is critical. Law 5 is the value exchange. Sales is value exchange. Increase the value and you will be valued more. And then law 6 is this law of sacred integrity. Staying real and true to who you are is way more important than making money by who you're not. If you change who you are to try to succeed, that's failure. And I think if you make a lot of money being somebody that you're not, that's the worst kind of failure. The worst. Because at some point it's going to change. Or the misery is going to get so high and so intense that you're going to want out. Like, that's why people kill themselves. Because they make all this money and they create all the success and they're still not happy. It's because they didn't stay true to who they are. They pulled away from who they are to try to get other people to like them, or other people to not leave them, or they just tried to seek all the external value representations and symbols, but they moved away from who they are in the process. The movement away from who we are is the failure. That's the failure. Not whether we make money or not. And whether we make money or not is not the success either. Staying true to who we are is the success. So if we stay true to who we are, we have sacred success. And then we can learn the marketing principles, which is the icing on the cake. And then we can make money. But staying true to who you are trumps anything that involves pulling away from who you really are. And in today's world, people can smell it. It makes people suspicious. And we don't earn their trust by being some version of not us. That's not the way to earn trust. It's not the way to enjoy life. And it's not the way to really stay grounded in our foundation and stay connected to who we are. So there you have it.
There you have it. There you have a lot. Amazing mind shift, transformation. Wow, man, I tell you, you dropped so many nuggets there. I hope you all are taking notes. I'm thinking here this whole time, like, oh my goodness, I got to jot that down. I'm like, oh, I can't. I'm moderating. And wow, that was amazing. That's why they make replays. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Watch the replay. I'm going to be watching the replay specifically for the purpose of taking notes, because so many nuggets were dropped. So many mindset shifts were dropped in what you just said. I mean, just looking at things from a different perspective, getting to the root cause of some of these surface money issues that are prevalent in today's society, that we make prevalent as a society. Man, this was, wow, amazing. And it's not over, everyone, because we're going right into the live Q&A session. What'd you say?
Let's continue the conversation. This is great.
Awesome. So what we're going to do for sake of the recording, everyone here right now, don't worry, I am going to stop the recording, but then I'm going to start it right back up. And what this will do is create two separate recordings for you might have noticed on the summit page that it's listed as two different sessions. So we want to still keep that, the integrity of that. but you don't have to do anything. Just stay right where you are. Nothing will happen on your screen except for a little bit of silence or me and Sean bantering for about 30 seconds while this recording stops and the next one starts. Wow, this was amazing, Sean. So I can't wait for the questions. We have several questions. We have also a few relevant questions from the last time you presented that relate to money, that if we have time, which I don't think we will, but we'll try to work in as many of these as humanly possible.
Yeah.
So everyone stay put. We're going to stop this recording and we're going to start the next recording for the live Q&A with Sean Smith. Don't go anywhere. Stay right where you are. We'll be right back.